Hello out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Arutakawa Teng'a here. And I'm trying out a new piece of a rather old piece that was laying around the house to diffuse that backlighting. Hope it works out. Well, in addition to that, pardon the break from my usual forte, ladies and gents, but I must go a little political for but a proverbial moment. Sorry about that. The reason I am breaking from my usual shtick is every American GOP candidate's seemingly blatant distaste for economic regulation. And for those who are not familiar with the terminology, GOP means Republican, aka such as Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Ben Carson et al. Anyways, as I was saying, is that they quickly mistake regulation for limitations. Truth is economic regulation is absolutely required to protect the markets, banks, and other institutions from growing too large or high that the growth is inherently unstable. Now, don't get me wrong, I could not care less if the market prices start at the Earth's core and rises to the moon's dark side or beyond, as long as that growth happens slowly ish and very stably. No, it's not really a word, but yeah, deal with it. I've already got my shades on, so just, Now, regulations also exist to prevent businesses from mass arbitrage, outsourcing, and improper staffing practices. I swear, I spent about 10 minutes clearing my head before I started filming and still choke. But I digress. So, what do I mean by mass arbitrage? I mean en masse company buyouts for the express purpose of shopping the recently purchased companies, knowing that the parts are immediately more valuable than their accumulative value. So let's take example the old classic, if I remember the movie right. Actually, I can't remember which movie it was, but one tycoon suckered a guy who knew the board of a company was liable for buyout, and then he was going to tycoon was going to break it apart and sell the part, break it apart and sell it bit by bit, knowing he was going to make more value bit by bit than as a whole. Please leave a comment down below if you know the name of the movie. Now, everybody and their mother at this point knows what outsourcing is. So I shouldn't need to explain how regulations can stem this process. Or do I? Once again, let me know down below if more explanation is needed, and I will do so. Now, what kind of improper staffing practices does regulation prevent? Well, there's a couple parts to this, or rather, three parts to this. So here we go. Firstly, it greatly hinders the hiring of off-book illegals instead of on-book citizens. By that I mean hiring illegals knowing that you can hire them off book, pay them way less than the federal requirements for on book employees, etc. And therefore you can stiff them out of bonuses and whatever else you can deem to stiff the illegals out of. Secondly, it caps the number of part time, or rather, the different percentages or ratio of full time to part time employees. By that, I mean to, by that I mean plainly that there's a expected limit of part timers outnumbering full timers. You know, let's scratch that whole bit and let me just restart that last bit. Secondly, it caps the number of part time to full time employees, so companies are forced to fairly treat their employees, namely by covering their healthcare needs to a minimum government required level and to maintain a workforce mentality that you are covered and that everybody who is a full timer knows they're going to be a full timer and not get hired for 38 or 39 hours a week just to avoid that full time coverage. Okay, thirdly, I should say, as a result of the first two, more emphasis is put on employee safety by default to prevent overpaying medical bills or other incurred expenses due to improper employment practices. All right, you know what? In ultra short, I probably could have said this whole damn thing in one sentence, but I had to explain my thoughts on the process and my understanding of such while going on over this. So I did. And here's the one shot summation of why regulations are necessary versus what the Republicans wanted to say. And I will give this Republican viewpoint first, actuality, actual intent second. In short, economic regulations are not nooses or tethers on the economy. It is in fact, they are in fact nets and or lifelines to prevent serious bumps along the economic road from derailing the progress of our nation's economy, or for that fact, any nation's economy. Now, here's where I ask you to tell me down below what your overall thoughts are of this video's content. And please be kind to the parts I said scratch out. If you wouldn't mind thumbs up, thumbing this up. Okay, thumbs upping this video rather. I'd appreciate that as well. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that elongated box that's usually about this tall down on the screen, I greatly appreciate that as well. And with that, I'm out.